Welcome aboard, fellow passengers. Another week, another episode. I hope you're buckled in because this one's a doozy. This week, we're going to be picking at Hijinx's mind into some of the inner workings of the Fuselage. Why this
Oh,
week? If you're asking that question, then you haven't watched the episode. For shame. In other news, did you know that two major shows ended in 2004? Both with massive followings of their own. I'm talking, of course, of Friends and Sex and the City. So I gotta know, who are you? Which of the Friends group are you? And which lady from Sex and the City? Want to know my answers? You got to keep listening for a few minutes because this is Lost State, my podcast. But don't worry, you don't have to wait long. I just want to tell you so much. I'm BusyBee, your host, and I'm joined by hijinx as always. So I took the BuzzFeed quizzes. I took the
okay.
Sex and the City one first because I've never seen the show. I have no idea what my answer means. Uh, I got Miranda, and she just keeps toasting me with martini in the GIF on the thing. So I have no idea what that says about my character. But I know for Friends, I got Ross. And I think it's because I answered one of the questions with I'll be hanging with my kid.
I'm I'm pretty sure your uncle is Ross. I mean, he's pretty much Ross personified every time. If you watch the show, isn't Ross your uncle pretty much? I mean, so pretty much you're your uncle. Y'all are one and the
I'm my
same.
uncle.
So there
Gotcha.
you go.
So who do you think you would get if you were to take the quiz? Hijinks.
What for which I've never
Both.
watched Sex and the City.
Oh, you okay? You
So
haven't. So you have no idea what being a Miranda is either. I remember that was a very
I
big
mean kind
thing.
of
Are you a
vaguely. I
Miranda or a
mean,
Samantha or whoever the two other ladies were?
I don't think I would be on that show like in a million years. So I think that it would just be like, you're none of these people. They're
Or
like,
you're
why are
all
you
of
even taking
them.
this? Why are you even taking this quiz? You wouldn't live in New York or be any of these people. For Friends, I'm probably Monica.
Oh, we're siblings.
Yeah, we're siblings.
Oh,
No, just
yay.
because I'm OCD and a little uptight, but that's
So
probably
yeah,
why.
with both of these shows ending, I think it did leave a little bit of this drama gap in the TV
Well,
lineup each night.
Friends was not a drama.
It was not a drama. It did have drama, but it was not a drama. Sex and the City, I think, was considered more of a drama. This show, Lost, has a lot more like supernatural and thriller elements to it, but still it was a drama of sorts. So I do think when Lost came in with these two shows ending, people didn't really have there was other stuff to watch, of course, but those two major ones ending left some time slots open for people to go check out other shows. And maybe that's why so many people watched Lost the first night.
Yeah.
So before we get into the episode, heads up, everybody. As always, we might spoil, we might not. We try not to. Um, and if you haven't watched the episode yet, please go do it because we're about to go into the details of this episode. And welcome back. So the name of this episode was Walkabout. And when I saw the title, I knew who it was about. Because if you've never seen this show before, the end of this episode was very mind blowing for you because you had no idea that John Locke was in a wheelchair. So when I saw the title Walkabout, I didn't even have to remember the fact that he went to Australia for this. It was the fact that he is able to walk about.
Yeah.
That was the big thing. And if you watch through the episode, you might not notice it right away. But since I knew what was happening, I was watching for it, was the fact that he is never shown standing or walking in the flashback scene. He is always sitting. You never see his chair either. They very carefully hide the edge of the chair behind other plants, another person, whatever the case may be. They are very purposely hiding this fact to get that mind-blowing factor. And I love the fact that they do like a basic record scratch moment at the end of the episode where they where he wheels away from the desk saying, "You can't tell me I can't do this," kind of thing. Or what did he say? He had a it's a very specific line.
It's like you can't do this to me or something like that.
Don't tell me what I can't do.
Oh, don't tell me what I can't do. Yeah, there we go.
I quoted the episode like 3 times in my thing. Don't tell me what I can't do. And he wheels away. And then it's that record scratch moment because it goes back to show when he woke up at the crash site and his toe wiggled. And you're like, oh, that's why he was excited about that. He's just sitting there looking at his toes because he hasn't been able to feel his toes walking. What do you say, 4 years?
Yeah. And why he's like one of the few people who's kind of happy. One of the few people who's kind of happy about being on the island.
Yeah. And he said, do you want to know a secret to Walt? And that was kind of like the hint that he told him something. But all he told Walt was that a miracle happened to him.
Yeah.
And we couldn't figure out what that miracle was because I think that conversation took place in episode 2.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think so.
We were wondering for 2 episodes, what was the miracle? He can walk again. He's no longer lame. He's no longer a cripple. Whatever happened to his leg, I cannot remember off the top of my head. I think I have an idea. But the case may be, he can walk now. He can actually feel his feet. I just love the fact that he's holding a knife and they're like, how'd you get a knife in the plane? I checked it. And then he opens up a case full of knives. I also love the fact that his wheelchair is being put to use by wheeling firewood around. He's like,
that was mine.
It was mine.
So go right ahead.
Y'all can have it. I don't want it.
I don't need it anymore. That's funny.
So what were some of the things you took away from this episode?
The funny thing is, I knew he was in the wheelchair, but yeah, like you just noticing the efforts to hide it the whole time, or that, that they because again, we, having watched it, I knew, but I guess I wasn't really paying attention to the fact that there was the reveal and being like, oh, that's right. They really didn't show the wheelchair. Because I'm thinking the whole time, oh, he's in a wheelchair. But that's because I knew he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And then be on, oh, that was the reveal. Because that's right. They really didn't show the wheelchair.
He wheels back and you're like, yeah, he's in the wheel. Have they not shown it this whole episode?
Because I'm thinking the whole episode that he's in the wheelchair because I knew he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, wait. No, this was a reveal.
Have to separate new information brain from already knew the information brain.
I already knew the information brain. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, that was, but yeah, I mean, so there's so much of, by the way, Terry O'Quinn.
Such a fantastic actor. I love him.
Well, not just that. He was one of the people who, he did participate on the Fuselage.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that, he participated, I think, on both boards, if I remember correctly. Like, he ventured into the threaded board. Well, because what we did on the threaded board was, because there were some actors like Terry who, I mean, he kind of figured out the linear board a little bit, but he wanted somewhere where people could like leave him questions that he could come in and answer when he had time. Aww. So we made a VIP section where you could, for the actors I think we did it for some of the writers too, where you could come in and just leave them a question. And then when they had like downtime, they would come in and answer questions. And Terry had a VIP section that he was actually active in.
Aw.
So
I didn't know this, so I'm glad this is the episode I say we're digging into the Fuselage a little bit because this is fantastic.
Well, and I just now remembered it. So there you go.
Yeah.
See, I mean, like I said, it's been 20 years, so there's stuff I forget. But yeah, if I remember correctly, he had his was one of the, I mean, and I think we started one for just about everybody. And some people, never got into their VIP section or, never went in and answered questions. But we left them there.
In case. Just what if?
Just in case. Yeah. Just as what ifs and just in case. We didn't want to assume nobody was ever going to come in there. But anybody who had started a VIP account, we tried to, have that option open for them in case they ever made it in. So yeah, I think that Terry was one of the ones. I'm not saying that he went in and answered every question. And the other good thing about that is, as moderators, we could go in there and if we saw something inappropriate, obviously we could get those questions out of there before hopefully the VIPs got in there. So, and we could ban people. One of our favorite things. But yeah, I think Terry liked that better, but he would like if there was an episode like Walkabout that was his episode, that would be one of the nights that he would go to the linear board and, either, they like to go in and read what everybody was saying. The linear board was easier to watch like immediate reactions of what people thought about an episode. The threaded board was too convoluted for them usually to figure out what people are saying, because you would have to wait to see what threads are popping up. I think they had like a live watch section on threaded board too, like for an episode. Somebody would start. Usually, one of the moderators would start a live thread reaction episode somewhere, and that's where people would go in and start all their topics or whatever. But it was still, for an actor or who wasn't really familiar with all that kind of stuff, it was still hard for them to follow. So a lot of them would gravitate towards the linear board during an actual live episode watching. But and I think Terry was one of the ones that would go on if he had an episode that was airing. I mean, if it was his episode. But anyway, go ahead. So yeah, he was always so sweet when he came on. He was the sweetest guy. His color was green, and his screen name was just Terry O'Quinn, all one word in lowercase. Terry O'Quinn.
Aww. See, I don't mind you going off on these tangents because that is what the topic is about this week. But was there anything else you noticed from the episode before we dive a little bit deeper into Fuselage stuff? Because
no, I mean, that was the main thing.
I noticed one of my favorite things.
What was that?
So I'm going to give you a hint, and I'm sure you'll figure it out right away. I also get excited looking for this during Pirates of the Caribbean.
Tattoos?
Orlando Bloom's tattoo and Dominic Monaghan's tattoo was shown this episode.
I don't know. I don't even know.
It's on his shoulder.
Oh, his
or like upper arm technically, but it's his elvish tattoo. I don't remember what his does his just say Hobbit?
It's the 9. No, he's part of the 9, so he's got the elvish for 9.
Oh, it's Elvis for 9. I couldn't remember what it stood for. I just know that Orlando Bloom's is on his wrist, and you can catch it on Pirates of the Caribbean when his arm's raised above his head.
Yeah, I think it was 8 or 9. The Fellowship, all of them got the elvish symbol for 9. So each of them have the same tattoo, but they just put it in different places.
I know that. I mean, Orlando specifically chose his because of archery, which is what listed. So his is on his wrist. But and I think 2 of the hobbits at least got them on their feet.
Got it on their foot because of the hobbit feet. But yeah,
I don't know where anyone else got their tattoos. I could look it up probably, but
and then the dwarf Jonathan Rhys Davis, he didn't actually get it. His stunt double got it.
Oh, really?
just because he was in more of the scenes because of the stature thing, and also because and I mean, I think I don't think Jonathan Rhys Davis wanted to get a tattoo, but and he had the problem with all the allergic reaction to the makeup and stuff. So he actually wasn't really with them as often.
Did he also have allergic reaction? Because I know, who is it? Richard Armitage, maybe, in the Hobbit movies, had an issue with the prosthetic for the nose. Because his nose changed every
with
movie.
With him, it was the glue they were using to put the stuff on the face. So yeah, he had like really bad reactions to the stuff they were using. So he wasn't really with them as often as like his stunt double would. So I think his stunt double or body double ended up getting the tattoo, I think, which I mean they were totally fine with. But yeah, so he got the tattoo instead of Jonathan Rhys Davis. But then I think all the rest of them got it.
Ian McKellen has a tattoo somewhere. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then Sean Bean had left already because he got killed early on, but he ended up getting it.
Spoiler.
This isn't being, that.
I know. We do spoilers on this show. Get over it. If you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, I think it's been out longer than this show has. Right? Yeah, no, it came out in like 2001.
I didn't know we were doing this on the recording, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we are.
All right,
because on this week's tangent is now about Lord of the Rings. But you know what? It's still kind of on topic because it has Dominic Monaghan. So
that's right.
We'll take it. So yeah, I was very excited to see on his. I was like, "Oh, this is the tattoo." And I'm sure every time I see a movie that has Viggo Mortensen, or anytime it has Billy Boyd, Sean Astin, or Elijah Wood, who Mom says I look enough alike that I could be his sister, but clearly not true because I'm doing this for a living. And it's not even for a living. I'm doing this as a side gig. I
And for the
always
moon, I
look
mean
to see if I
psychic.
can catch, to see if I can see their tattoos. Even if I don't know where their tattoo is, I'm watching. I'm like, I'm gonna see it. See
You're
it.
weird.
One of my other notes is that Sawyer started Fight Club Part 2, but he issued it with Hurley. So that was fun.
Fight
About
Club.
peanuts.
Sawyer wants to fight everybody. He has issues.
A lot of issues.
Lots of
Speaking
issues.
of issues, Shannon.
Did you I called her Shaman.
No, Shannon.
Shaman.
Anyway, Shaman. She's a sham.
Shaman has a lot of issues too. I've met Maggie
I
Grace,
can't
so
believe.
she's adorable. I have a picture with her.
Aw, yay. I still love the fact that she managed to convince Charlie, to convince Hurley, convince Charlie again to catch a fish, to spear a fish. And she's like,
Yeah.
ha, see, I caught a fish. No, honey, that was handed to you by another guy. You
Still
caught
caught it.
nothing. It was just
Still counts. Still counts.
not according to, I keep wanting to call him Damon, not according to Booth. According to Booth doesn't count.
By the way, that wasn't going to be his original name since we're going with trivia.
What was his original name going to be?
5.
His name was going to be 5?
Hmm.
Booth's name was going to be 5.
First of all, his name is Boone.
Boone. Why do I keep saying Booth? I wrote Boone. What the heck? I can't read my handwriting.
Bones. First of all, his name is Boone.
Boone.
But Berkey told me, I don't remember why, but they were going to call him 5. And then there was something about like they were doing a script change and they were doing then they changed his name to Boone, and then they did like go through the whole script to change, did like a seek and change all the 5s to Boone. But there was a countdown somewhere that went to 5, and then it just 1, 2, 3, 4, boom.
That's why you can't trust that kind of stuff. Because there's instances where people are trying to change something in their script and it involves the name Will. Never do it with Will. Never do it with Will.
A word. That's a word. I can't remember the reason. It's been too long now. But I can't remember. There was a reason for the 5. I can't remember. But yeah, his name was going to be 5. Maybe like he was so-and-so the 5th or something. So he went by 5.
Oh,
yeah, because you remember they're like hoity-toity kind of people. Anyway, but yeah, so they ended up changing his name to Boone. But that's just one of the weird things that Berkey told me over the years. But go ahead. Okay.
Before we get into Fuselage talk, my last favorite thing I want to mention from the episode is one of my favorite lines I've heard. It was, "Hey, quit giving us the steal signal," said by Michael. And it would have been his last words, honestly. After the Razorback Force came after them.
Oh yeah, the first that was another. Oh my god, what the f? Boar. And we changed the polar bear to boar.
There's a lot of WTF moments in this show. Not gonna lie. Oh, I also said bad Charlie like twice. So Charlie needs to stop doing drugs. On a totally unrelated topic, I paused the episode to check to see how much longer I had left in it at 8 minutes and 15 seconds left. I was very proud of that. I did not try.
8:15. Oh my god. The numbers.
Numbers, man. The numbers. I also think we started recording these episodes at 8:15 p.m. So we got close. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I sent you a text at exactly 8:15. That was it.
Oh my god.
I want the numbers to become relevant because I know the numbers. I keep looking for them, but they're not here yet because they haven't been made canon in the series because Hurley doesn't have the numbers. So once he gets the numbers, you will be getting updates daily from me. Or not daily, weekly, however often you're watching this, listening to this, whatever the case may be. So now we're going to dig a little deeper into the fuselage. So I understand you didn't necessarily start off as one of the top members. Don't think that would be possible. but you did clearly work your way up there.
Mm.
Do you remember how long it took, like how many seasons it took from you going being just a regular commenter to being the Golden Rod of Doom?
It wasn't seasons. It was within the first season.
It
I
was
think it was
within the
pretty.
first season. Okay, I take that back. Maybe you did just
I
start at the
wasn't,
top.
and it wasn't. It wasn't a. I wasn't like top commenter. I mean,
You're clearly
so I
commenting
mean,
on all the right things.
well, I mean, but I was like I said, I was almost solely on the linear board. I mean, I joined the threaded board too because that was just kind of what you did. Because I mean, I would go and like poke around in there
Mm-hmm.
to start with, but I was almost exclusively on the linear. Okay, so how I found out about the fuselage was I was a member of the Bronze.
What's the bronze? Don't even
So
start with me. Just what's the bronze?
the Bronze was only a linear board for Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
That was the name of the bar. Okay.
Now it was also done by Carrie and Artie,
Mm-hmm.
and it was visited by the higher ups of the people involved with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, including Joss Whedon, David Fury, Drew Goddard, and just the list goes on and on. I don't think, I don't remember if any of the actors ever visited the Bronze, but just about, I mean, a great deal of the writers did, and Joss was almost a regular there, at least like when there were episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they did fan parties. I don't remember, and this would have to be a question for Carrie, which I can ask Carrie at some point, but because I'm friends with her on the Book of Face. But I think that I don't remember how the Bronze came about. I can't remember if it was started by them, I mean, by the creators, or if they just, when they found it, they supported it. I can't remember. I feel like when it was on when Buffy was on the WB, it came from there somehow, or they had a message board on the WB, and then when it got bought, when it came over from the CW, that they made the Bronze. I can't remember. There's some lore there that I read about a billion years ago, and I just can't remember it right now. But anyway,
WB is quite the throwback. I vaguely remember it being called WB before switching to CW or whatever it was, but oh my dear Lord.
well, yeah. So anyway, so David Fury was a writer on Buffy and Angel. I think he wrote on Angel, but he did definitely write on Buffy. Mm-hmm. David Fury also was one of the first writers, part of the first writing team on Lost. He was the one that brought the idea of the fuselage to JJ. So he told him about the Bronze, how it was a place for the fans to go, that the writers and Joss would go in there and be able to directly interact with fans. And I know for people today, that's like, we do that all the time. We got that because we have the Twitter and whatever.
The X.
The formerly known as Twitter.
I love saying that.
And Facebook and all that. But again, you have to keep in mind, we did not have that back in the
Facebook was only for college students. Twitter didn't exist yet.
2000s and all that. So yeah. So
I don't think MySpace had that capabilities.
Yeah. But, to have that direct contact with fans who were, in real time watching your show was like a mind-blowing concept to the creators back then. They're like, what? I can actually watch in real time as fans are watching my show, see their immediate reaction, and talk to them about it at the same time was like a crazy, awesome concept for those kind of creators. Now, for some creators, they don't care or have time for that kind of stuff. But for someone like a Joss Whedon or a J.J. Abrams, who really feed off that kind of stuff, that was like a fantastic idea. So JJ immediately jumped on it.
Because if you think about it, being able to see fans' real reactions to a show to an episode you just released, and sure, you have 2 or 3 episodes that are still going to come out after that, but you were in the process of filming or writing or creating a few episodes later, and you're able to feed off the energy and figure out what the people like, if there's anything you need to change, that kind of thing. Especially if they're like, oh, we hate this character, or they're just not vibing with it. You can easily find a way to make that character more likable or make it more appeasing to the people's eyes. But you have a direct link to, hey, this is what they like, this is what they don't like, this is what they're really connecting with in the show, and
Well,
feeding off of that.
and it also gave them like weight, or, it allowed them to say to the higher ups at ABC, like, hey, we know for certain that this character is working or the storyline is working. We've got proof right here that we're right. Or, they can, like you said, they can do tweaks when they see that something's not quite working, or, they can see if there is stuff that's confusing, or, because ABC, obviously there's so much groundbreaking kind of stuff that Lost was doing with all the mysteries and not answering all the questions. And, ABC can get a little nervous about that. Hey, you're not solving everything. You're leaving a lot of questions open. But the fuselage was proving, especially the massive size of the fuselage. Yeah, the massive size of the fuselage and the amount of people who were going there. It was proving that, hey, the audience loves the fact that we're not answering everything and that we're confusing the heck out of them. And so, anyway, but like I said, David Fury was the one who introduced JJ to the concept of having a place where all the fans could go, and that, he could go in, his writers could go in, and like eventually some of the actors would go in and interact with these people, and, have this place, an actual touchstone where they could actually, feel the pulse of the actual fandom of the true hardcore fans. And it would give an actual place for fans to get legitimate, real answers from, the higher ups on stuff, and know that they're talking to the real people and it's not like a sham. So, and even have answers to basic questions like, hey, what music is that playing? Which is something I did a lot with Berkey, because Berkey he worked in the editing, he did post edit. So if somebody was like, hey, can you find out what song that was playing here and here, I could get that answer like that pretty easily from Berkey. He's like, oh, it's this. And so it was, to have that kind of back and forth or have that kind of access was just insane and awesome. And, that's why everybody went there. But anyway, so I got involved. So I was on the bronze, and I don't remember. I found out from the bronze from a Buffy message board, I believe, because I was on a Buffy message board. I don't even remember what the name of it was. So I was not very involved. Like, I didn't go to because they had fan parties where Joss and those guys showed up. I never went to any of those. I wasn't that involved with it, but I was like on the bronze, and I heard about the fuselage from the bronze. And so that's when I went to the fuselage. But so I was on the fuselage probably within a week of it starting, which would have been, I think, like, or I mean, I don't know if it was a week within it starting, but it was within a week of Lost premiering. So I was not there like for premiere night, but probably within a week of it starting. I don't remember what my member number was, but it was, maybe within the first 1,000 members.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I said, I was mainly on the linear board. I joined the threaded board as well again, but I, just so I have my name because, you want to get your name. The main thing that kind of pushed me over, obviously, was befriending Berkey and starting his fan club. That was kind of my thing that upped my clout, I guess we'll say. So yeah, so usually my habit would be when I would get home and get onto the fuselage, I'd scroll through the linear page to see what I'd missed. Mm-hmm. So it'd be like just kind of like what people do when they get on to formerly known as Twitter, or I think that's what you guys do on Discord or whatever. You go to whichever page you usually go to and kind of scroll through, see what everybody's been talking about. And so I would do the scroll and stuff. And because Berkey did post edit, he was usually working in the middle of the night. And so I would scroll through and he would just have the most hilarious comments about stuff. And I had no idea who he was. I figured out that he was one of the executive producers on Lost and that he did the post edit. So when they got done with an episode or filming an episode, and the crazy thing about Lost is they actually filmed in Hawaii. So when they got done with the filming, they had to ship the film from Hawaii to California because Berkey's in California.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would have to ship the film, put it on a plane to LA. They did post edit in LA. And that's where they added the score because Michael Giacchino did the score.
Oh, love Michael Giacchino. Anytime I see that he's written the score for something, I get excited. And it started with Lost. So, like,
he also did the score for Alias. So he would, so Michael Giacchino does the score, and Berkey and a couple other people, there's someone else who works with them, but they would work on the post edit and lining everything up, essentially fitting it into the time frame for the episode. So he was usually up in the middle of the night as they're trying to get it ready for, the final cut for what was going to be airing.
Mm-hmm.
And so the linear board obviously not as busy in the middle of the night unless you live in California. So
unless you post edits in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And I just thought he was hilarious. And so I went to the threaded board to see if he had a fan club, because that was one of the things that was happening early on is like everybody would, latch on to one of the VIPs or characters and they would start fan clubs for him. And I was like, okay, Berkey needs a fan club because he's hilarious. And me being kind of a computer savvy person, I not only started a fan club for him on the Fuselage, but I bought his name. So I bought www.brianburke.com because that's what I do. And I started to make other friends on the Fuselage and stuff. And so, so I started thinking, I was trying to think of, because once you start a fan club, you have to, of course, think of what you're going to be called.
Mm-hmm.
And this is stuff that I've learned from the Bronze, because like the different writers and stuff had group names. The most famous one being Drew's Minions, which has Drew Goddard. He had the Minions fan club, and it's Drew's Minions. And so I was like, well, I got to think where it'd be. And I ended up coming up with the Berkey Babes. And so the Berkey Babe fan club and all this stuff. And so I made Berkey's fan club, and, I was number one babe. And, and I can't remember. I think I talked about it on the linear board first, and then I told them that I started a fan club, in a page for Berkey. And so then people came in, and asked to join the fan club. And so there are two people that came on at the same time, I think, asking me number two. So I ended up having like a 1.5 or a 2 and a 2.5 or something like that. So they'd be right close together. So then everybody's asking me to join. So then that's how the fan club starts. And anyway, so I told him about it, or, you would you would at message, or I can't remember how we did that messaging, or, to get someone's attention on the linear board to let them know. Because you could also, I think you like F forward or something to search your name on the linear board to see if anybody had mentioned you. I don't think Berkey knew how to do that. But he would also, when he came on, people would tell him, hey, did you notice this? And so I think the next time he came on, people asked him if he knew that a fan club had started for him on the threaded board. He didn't even know what the threaded board was.
There's something besides linear?
Well, I think they said, did you see that you got a fan club on the TB? And he's like, what's the TB? And then they said the threaded board. And he's like, what's the threaded board? Anyway, so no, I don't have tuberculosis. That was from the time. Anyway, so somebody told him about the threaded board, and then, he, of course, was completely embarrassed, but thought it was awesome. And anyway, so we struck up a friendship, of course, and it just escalated from there. Anyway, This is such a long story for this, but I won't
Hey,
talk
it's fine. We have all the time in the world.
about it.
I'll just make the episode longer. Y'all have to sit there and suffer or not. That's up to you. But
Of
I am
course
digging this.
you,
This is awesome.
of course you are. Well, anyway, so again, though, he really only was on the linear board like in the middle of the night, and I, of course, at that time was working a normal like 8 to 5 job, and also was on the East Coast. And so he and I were almost never online at the same time. And again, he didn't really, spend any time on the Threaded board, and I was only there very periodically anyway. But there was like, I think there's like one time, or there's at least a couple of times they were on at the same time. And so, I happened to be on one time when he was there, and he was like, "Oh, thank you so much for." I have like screenshots somewhere, I think, of when he acknowledged me on the linear board at the same time, and of course, I lost my mind, just like a fangirl does. But eventually, I don't remember how. At some point, we emailed each other. I can't remember. I sent him a care package. Somehow I got. I don't remember when I got. At some point, I got his email address, and then at some point, I got his address at ABC Studios in LA. I don't remember how. I had connections. I don't remember how I got it.
Again, your fingers were in a lot of pies.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember how I got it. But so I sent him like a care package, and that prompted the first time he called me because he wanted to open it while he was on the phone with me. And that was like I remember it was like in February. So like Lost premiered in September. I started his fan club, I don't know, probably sometime in like October or November, I think. And it bought like his name and all that stuff and started the fan page and stuff. So it wasn't really until like somewhere end of January-ish or February is when I sent a care package to him at ABC Studios. Like I said, I have no idea how I got it, the address, but somehow I got it. And he called me, and I, blew my mind. And so as he opened it, he talked to me as he went through all the stuff that was in it. And I mean, I just, I sent him silly stuff. I don't even remember what it was, but, yeah. So then from then on, at some point I got his email address at ABC. And so, that's how it started, everything with Berkey. And, we remained pretty close friends kept in touch for I was still getting periodic emails from him up until just a few years ago. It's been a while since I heard from him, but he is. I mean, he's had a lot going on, but I still have I've got his phone number and his email, and I could still probably reach out and touch base with him once in a blue moon. Sometimes I'll get something from him, but he's a good guy. But yeah, so that was my connection with Berkey became pretty important to my escalation, I guess, because after a while, I became the person who vetted VIPs. Well, because, Carrie would get a message from somebody who wanted VIP color or access, which essentially, if you got VIP status, you would get a color for your name, and then Carrie would set up a password access or whatever for the Threaded board if you wanted to. And really, I suddenly became the only one who really had a direct connection to someone at Lost who could vet someone right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know, and that was the other thing. After, I think David Fury left after season 1 or 2, I can't remember. And that had been Carrie's access person, like who she contacted with. So after he left, and then I think Javi left after I can't remember if he left after season 2 or after 3. But yeah, after a while, I became the only one with a direct connection. And so, Carrie would be like, so and so is asking for, usually it was like a writer or somebody if she didn't recognize right away. And then sometimes Berkey would contact me saying so and so, wants to come online during their. I think I did that for, of all people, I think for Dom. Yeah, Dom wanted to come on, so I was like, well, I need to know what screen name who he wants, and so he told me the screen name, and so I contacted Carrie and got his color and all that kind of stuff.
Do
So
you remember what
I
his handle
yes,
was?
David St. Hubbins, which is a name from a movie. I can't remember. Everybody who listens to this, I want to say, I think it's from, what's that movie? Um, Spinal Tap. I think it's the name from Spinal Tap. It's David St. Hubbins, Hubbins.
Interesting.
And I think he was orange.
Because I know on a lot of things, you're saying Dom like Dominic Monaghan, right?
Yes.
Because he goes by like Dom's Wild Things on a couple of things. So I was wondering. Holy crap, are you kidding me? How did
Yeah,
I
he
not
was
know
from,
that?
yeah, David St. Hubbins was Michael McKean on Spinal Tap. Yeah, that was the character he played on Spinal Tap. So that was the name he used when he came to the Fuselage. But I mean, we all knew who it was. That was just the name he wanted to use.
Fair enough.
Um,
So I had no idea that Dom and Evangeline Lilly were in a relationship at this time.
yeah,
I had no idea. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
they dated. Anyway, so, but yeah, so just and and also part of it just I became friends with Carrie. Just through Carrie mainly stayed on. Oh, I mean, she was involved on the linear board. The only boards that she really was involved with on the threaded board was I think like anime and stuff like that. I mean, Carrie's pretty shy. She's not big. Ironically, she's not really a big fandom person. I mean, she has like certain things she's interested in, but she wasn't somebody who went into like the episode thread boards and got into heated discussions with anybody. I mean, she's just the sweetest little. She's adorable. I love Carrie. Which is great. That's the perfect kind of person to run one of these boards. You don't want somebody hot headed who gets involved in fandom to like run your board, because then they just get mad and shut everything down. But I would help her out with stuff, and she knew, like I said, she knew me. I can't remember if we interacted on the bronze or not, but I always came in, and if anybody gave trouble on the linear board, I always stepped in on stuff. And then I became friends with certain people on the Fuselage who had also been on the bronze as well, and so that's just how I became friends with Carrie. And at some point, I got made a moderator on the threaded board. And just like I said, eventually I got the credentials. I can't remember when I got made UMod, but like I said, I think that just came about once it became apparent that I was the only one who had the VIP connection to vet the new people. And then also just because, like I said, I just got the reputation for taking people down faster. And like I said, and it just came from Carrie because number one, I had the connection with Berkey, and number two, because I just got really good at putting people in their place and just had the legal background to back up to take care of people who are mouthing off in the different threads, and just had the clout to back them up. So yeah, I mean, I was probably I can't remember. Like I said, the board got so big. That's when we went from we added the Uber mod. We had Uber mod, super mod, and mini mod, I think, because we needed a lot more moderators for having such a big operation there. And so yeah, so that was somewhere around, I don't know, season 3 or 4 maybe, when we separated it all out to have that many mods, because it was just massive and we had to.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go.
Well, I've loved this whole talk about how this all started. And you're laughing. I'm dead serious. I had no idea this started with the Bronze. If we continue doing these, we definitely need to do an Alias podcast and a Buffy and Angel rewatch. Because it's just so exciting learning all these like background things for things that happen that I'm obsessed with, but that happened when I was a kid and couldn't be on the internet obsessed with.
You were too young.
How to whittle.
Oh, little girl.
Baby. I wasn't a baby, but when did Buffy start? Was that 97?
It feels like it was before that, but maybe. Yeah, that was
97 to
probably about right.
2003.
I remember like
Bubba was a baby.
well, I mean, I just remember the episodes being on because I didn't start watching Buffy from the beginning, but I would like catch episodes of it and then eventually like sit down and watching it from beginning to end. I have the Buffy set. I don't have the Angel set, but I have all of Buffy.
I have the Angel set. It's not the box set. It's the my husband's awake. He just walked through and turned the lights on and off. Off and on.
That explains it.
Yeah.
He's like, kind of go to bed.
We're almost there. So yeah, I have the Angel set. It's not the box set, but I do have all 5 seasons. Would you like to know who gave those to me?
None.
Your mother.
I have no idea why she thought maybe she was misinformed about what Angel was about.
She watched some of the episodes.
Oh, I know, but
she said she watched them. She liked them, and she knew I liked them more.
No. It got a little too
much
out of the
She just I'm gonna call him Booth. Seeley. Seeley Booth. She liked him. David Boreanaz. And to be fair, he was pretty fine. So we're getting towards the end of the episode, and of course, I don't have any other comments that I have found, no emails, because I said the only one that we had last week. But I do notice that we have a couple of subscribers already on our YouTube channel. We have some people following us on Twitter. A bunch of people on Twitter, actually. I didn't expect that many. It's like
where?
On Twitter. If you call it by anything else, you're lying to yourself. It's Twitter, X. And we're also on Instagram. And again, I'm going to give the shout out every episode I can. Thank you to @Aba the artist on Instagram for creating our logos and designs for all of our stuff. I will be commissioning her for some more stuff. It won't just be this logo. We have this as a PNG and a JPEG, which is fantastic. I'm going to commission her for more. And at some point, we'll get her on to talk about her experience with Lost. It's not going to be anytime soon. We're going to probably try to get through halfway through the season. Then we'll see about bringing on some guest stars. If you are someone who participated on the Fuselage very heavily, please reach out to us. We have a Gmail that you can reach out to us at lostdatemypod@gmail.com. You can also reach out.
And those who know me can just DM me.
Or if you know either of us personally, feel free to DM us on whatever the case may be. But again, we are also on Instagram and X at Lost Eat My Pod on both of them. Of course, our videos are going up on the YouTube channel, which is the only way that these are currently being released. Eventually, I might do get to know your cast members, which is just me, cast member, and hijinx cast member. There'll be short little videos. Maybe eventually we will see. If it's something you are interested in, please let us know. Hijinx is just shaking her head furiously left and right. I don't think she wants to do it, but if you give us enough response, I will force her to do it.
There's enough of me out there already.
You want to get to know Hijinx, you just listen to these episodes, especially when it comes to her experience with Lost.
I'm telling everything about me that you need to know.
I'm telling it all. This is Hijinx's tell-all.
That's right. This is my tell-all. I'm giving all the tea, as they say it in the episodes. That's all you need to know. We are
spilling the tea. We're drenching the island in it.
Apparently my daughter's finding out a lot already. She's like, what?
I'm like, I still love the first episode where I'm like, this person is part of the Fuselage. This person's part of the Fuselage. And he said, not part of the Fuselage. I'm like, not. Who are these people?
Who are these people?
I just assumed everything was the Fuselage, but seeing all these intricate things come out, It's been fantastic. So again, if you were ever an active member on the Fuselage and you think hijinx might remember you, please feel free to reach out.
And if hijinx
for whatever
ever
reason,
banned you, if hijinx ever banned you, do not reach out.
reach out to me. I will still message you privately. I'm always curious to know what's going on. However, if you're like one of the actors in the show or one of the writers, creators, whatever the case may be, definitely reach out. We would love to pick your brain. You don't have to be voiceovered. We can do just a text interview, whatever the case may be, and I will reveal your answers. I won't reveal all of your answers. No. But anyway, thank you all for joining us on this adventure, on our little walkabout that we did. We did a nice long wander around the fuselage. Did you guess why I wanted to talk about the fuselage, by the way?
No.
It's because they burned it to the ground.
Oh, that's right.
Well, that's why I was like, oh, they're burning the fuselage. Let's talk about the fuselage today.
We burned it to the ground too, but
oh yeah, it's so much fun. So join us next week when we'll be going over episode 5. I don't know what the title is. I haven't looked at it yet. I look at it day of. Oh, it's Bristow. He's out cold. He can't hear me.
I can spoil it for you.
No, don't spoil it. No spoilers. We're talking about this. No. So yeah, thank you for joining us. My name is BusyBee, again joined by hijinx, and this has been Lost Date, my podcast, and we will see you next week. Hi, hello again. It's BusyBee. I know we just said goodbye, but this is another one of those after action audio notes for you, because something was mentioned in this episode that I actually have to readdress. And it's the fact that I stated that the podcast was only up on YouTube. Last week's episode, you might have noticed, I did an after action, and I stated that we are actually up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. But as you know, hijinx and I record 2 episodes at a time. So I had to make sure I came back in and I reminded you guys, hey, we're not just on YouTube. We are on Spotify, we are on Apple. If you find another place that we aren't currently, please shoot us an email, lostdatemypod@gmail.com, or shoot us a message on Instagram or Twitter, formerly known as X or X formerly known as Twitter, whichever the case may be. I'm very rarely on it, but I do check it daily to see if we have any comments or messages. So please feel free to reach out to us and let us know, hey, I don't hear you on this site yet. And we'll do our best to get on that site. After all, we are only 2 people doing this podcast. 3 if you include Junior, who is amazing, by the way, and does a lot of work for this to make sure that we sound halfway decent. I cut out a lot of my breaths the best I can, but he does the rest. And we really appreciate him for it. And we're actually a 4-person team if you include the fact that we have @Aba the Artist from Instagram helping us out with our logos. So again, you can find us at any of those locations, and we're so happy to be a part of these new sites as well. And that, I believe, will finally be the end of this episode. Join us next week when we go over episode 5, which I have still not looked at, and it's been a week and a half since the last episode was filmed. I will be looking at it sometime in the next 2 days, since I gotta start recording for next week. Again, this has been BusyBee, and I'm signing off. Thank you, and good night.